Do you have a hard time regulating your emotion when it becomes intense? I'm going to explain a really simple model of how to get yourself back into a homeostasis window of tolerance. So Dr. Dan Siegel came up with the hand model for the brain, okay? And so if you look at it like this is your brainstem, this is back here, this is the most primitive part of the brain that's developing in utero. And then you have your limbic system, okay? This is also developed in utero. This is your emotional center. This is where your attachments are. This is where your amygdala and your triggers come. And then on top, you have the cortex, the thinking brain, that actually develops once you're born outside of the womb. This is the mind. This is the ability to reflect on something, okay? And this houses the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is crucial when it comes to regulation. And so what happens is when we get triggered, our limbic system, our sympathetic system gets triggered, the thinking brain or the cortex goes offline, right? And so we're reacting completely in this part of the brain that doesn't necessarily have reason or the ability to reflect or the ability to soothe. And so the key here, the takeaway point is when you step out and you're able to get that prefrontal cortex back online and you're able to actually reflect on what's happening, it activates that prefrontal cortex, which takes in information all the way from the brainstem up into the limbic system in the body. The prefrontal cortex is like the train station, and it's what we really need to be online to regulate. And so how do you do that? Again, just when you get hyped or you get hyper aroused or hypo aroused, just step back and reflect, hopefully within a healthy and safe relationship, which will also help to build resilience and actually stimulate those integrative fibers in the brain, which is what we want to do. We want to integrate all of the information and not be responding just simply out of our limbic system or our more primitive brain, okay? And so again, the key is step back, notice, and reflect. That in and of itself will bring on your prefrontal cortex, which will help you to regulate. And hopefully this will give you language as to what has happened, like just particularly for kids, like, oh, yep, thinking brain just went offline. How do we get it back on? Step back, notice, reflect, name what you're feeling, and process it within relationship, because that co-regulation with another person is what helps us begin to be able to self-regulate our own emotional reactions.